The Great Pyramid of Giza is a stone calendar pointing to the stars. The precise alignment of ancient pyramids with celestial events stands as one of history's most captivating puzzles, a perfect blend of astronomy, architecture, and human ingenuity. By the end of this journey, you will see these ancient wonders in a completely new light, understanding the sophisticated knowledge that connected them to the heavens. How did cultures separated by vast oceans and thousands of years share this common language written in the sky? What profound secret were they trying to etch into the landscape with such incredible precision? The answers reveal a story not of magic, but of meticulous observation and a deep desire to find order in the cosmos. What does it say about us that our greatest monuments were built to mirror the stars? Picture a solitary figure standing atop a step temple under a vast, unpolluted night sky. This is not a modern astronomer, but a learned individual from ancient Mesopotamia, perhaps a priest or a scribe. Their eyes are fixed on the shimmering band of the Milky Way, their mind mapping the predictable paths of wandering stars we now call planets. For them, this was not a hobby, it was a sacred duty. The precise timing of the floods, the optimal moment to plant seeds, the dates for royal ceremonies and communal festivals all were written in that celestial script. Their observations, etched onto clay tablets, formed the very first chapters of a science we now call archaeoastronomy. This field is the essential key that unlocks the true purpose behind the stone giants we call pyramids. It asks a beautiful, fundamental question: how did ancient peoples perceive the cosmos, and how did that perception shape their world on the ground? For a long time, the stunning alignments of ancient monuments were dismissed as coincidence or attributed to vague mystical forces. That changed with the meticulous work of pioneers like Alexander Thom, who surveyed hundreds of stone circles across Britain, and Anthony Aveni, who studied the astronomical traditions of the Americas. They provided the rigorous evidence. They showed, with mathematics and careful observation, that the placement of these sites was deliberate, repeatable, and astonishingly precise. This is not about finding constellations in every rock pile. It is about recognizing a pattern of intent. Archaeoastronomy builds a bridge between the hard science of orbital mechanics and the soft science of human culture. It allows us to listen to the ancients on their own terms. When we look at a pyramid now, we are not just seeing a tomb or a temple. We are looking at a multidimensional instrument. Its sides might align with the solstice sun. Its internal shafts might target a specific star. Its very location might mirror a sacred constellation on the Earth. This transforms these structures from silent monuments into active participants in a cosmic dialogue. So what compelled an entire civilization to pour its resources, its artistry, and generations of labor into such a precise reflection of the heavens? The drive was profound. In a world without electric lights or digital calendars, the sky was the ultimate clock, calendar, and compass. Its cycles promised the return of spring, the arrival of rains, the continuity of life itself. To build in harmony with those cycles was to ensure stability, to legitimize authority, and to literally anchor their society to the eternal and the divine. The pyramid was their way of touching the sky. This profound desire to touch the heavens was rooted in a single, powerful idea. Ancient cultures across the globe shared a vision of the cosmos as a structured, living entity with their kingdom at its very heart. At the center of this vision stood the axis Mundi, the world axis. Think of it not as a physical pole, but as a sacred, invisible line of connection. It was the ultimate bridge linking the earthly realm where people lived, the celestial realm of the gods and stars above, and even the underworld below. The pyramid was the physical manifestation of this bridge. It was not just a building, it was a designated point of contact with the divine. This is why the precision of its alignment was so critical. To construct this axis haphazardly would be to build a broken bridge, a failed connection. Every stone, every angle, every orientation had to be perfect to serve its cosmic purpose. For the Egyptians, this perfect state of harmony and order was called Mat. For the ancient Vedic cultures of India, a similar concept was known as Rita. These were not just philosophical ideas, they were the essential fabric of a stable universe. Chaos, disease, poor harvests, these were all signs that this cosmic order was out of balance. So how does a ruler, a priest, or an entire civilization maintain this balance? They anchor their world to the one system that never fails, the clockwork of the sky. By aligning their greatest monument, their axis Mundi, with the unwavering path of a star or the reliable return of the sun at the solstice, they were performing the highest form of cosmological engineering. They were stitching their kingdom directly into the eternal, predictable rhythms of the cosmos. This act transformed the pyramid from a pile of stone into a powerful stabilizer. It became a conduit channeling divine energy and certainty down to earth. For the ruler, this was the ultimate source of legitimacy. By claiming to be the guardian of this sacred axis, the one who maintained the connection to the gods, their right to rule was written in the stars themselves. The immense labor, the generations of effort, it all makes a different kind of sense through this lens. They were not merely building a tomb or a temple. They were building the central pillar of reality itself, ensuring the sun would rise, the Nile would flood, and the kingdom would endure. This deep, spiritual imperative is the foundational reason we see such breathtaking precision repeated across continents. It sets the stage for the specific, stunning alignments these cultures chose to encode in stone. That profound desire for cosmic harmony found its most visible expression in the sun. Its reliable journey across the sky offered the perfect celestial anchor. At the ancient city of Teotihuacan in Mexico, the dawn of the summer solstice reveals this principle in breathtaking form. As the sun rises, the massive sun pyramid casts a long, sharp shadow directly down the center of the city's main thoroughfare, the Street of the Dead. For a brief, perfect moment, light and geometry merge, splitting the city in two with a line of darkness. This was no accident of construction. It was a meticulously engineered event, a public spectacle that transformed architecture into a solar instrument. Across the world, from the deserts of Egypt to the jungles of Cambodia, pyramid builders consistently aligned their greatest structures with the solstices and equinoxes. But why were these specific solar moments so universally important? The answer is written in the cycle of life itself. The solstices marked the sun's northernmost and southernmost limits, the turning points of the year. The equinoxes, when day and night are of equal length, represented perfect balance. These were not abstract astronomical concepts. They were the essential markers of the agricultural calendar, signaling when to plant, when to harvest, and when to prepare for the leaner months. A ruler who could predict and ceremonially harness these moments was not just a king, they were a guarantor of survival. They became the sun's own representative on earth, their authority literally illuminated by its light. This connection was often made tangible in dramatic displays of controlled illumination. In Egypt's Great Pyramid, the so-called King's Chamber is aligned so that on certain dates, the setting sun would send a beam of light directly down the narrow southern shaft, possibly to symbolically reach the ruler's resting place. At Chichen Itza, during the spring and autumn equinoxes, the setting sun casts a series of triangular shadows along the stairway of the El Castillo Pyramid, creating the stunning illusion of a serpent slithering down to earth. These events transformed static stone into dynamic theater. For the gathered community, witnessing the sunlight hit a specific altar or light up a hidden statue on the exact predicted day was a powerful, undeniable proof. It demonstrated that their leaders, their priests, and their gods were in sync with the fundamental rhythm of the universe. This harmony between human ambition and natural law was the bedrock of social stability. So how did ancient architects without lasers or GPS achieve such pinpoint accuracy? Their methods were deceptively simple yet brilliant, born from generations of patient observation. The true genius of these ancient architects lay in their ability to achieve cosmic precision with astonishingly simple tools. Picture a single vertical pole, a gnomon, planted firmly in the sand of the Egyptian desert. Its shadow, stretching and shrinking with the sun's passage, was not just a mark on the ground. It was a dynamic sundial, a calendar, and a compass all in one. By carefully tracking the tip of that shadow over the course of a day, and particularly over the solstices, a skilled observer could determine true north with an accuracy that rivals modern instruments. This was the foundational act. Before a single foundation stone was laid for a pyramid, this simple stick and the patient recording of its shadow established the sacred axis upon which the entire world would be built. But the gnomon was just the beginning of their empirical toolkit. To ensure their monumental bases were perfectly level across vast distances, they used water. They dug shallow, interconnected trenches around the building site and filled them with water, creating a perfectly flat plane defined by the water's surface. Any high point could be shaved down, any low point filled, until the entire foundation mirrored the stillness of a pond. For aligning long walls or processional avenues, they used sighting poles, a series of markers placed in a straight line over the landscape, guided by observations of a distant star rising or setting on the horizon. One of the most elegant instruments was the Egyptian merkit. It consisted of a horizontal bar with a plumb line hanging from its center, used alongside a sighting tool made from a palm rib with a slit in it. An observer, often called an hour watcher, would use this setup to track the transit of specific stars across the night sky. By noting which stars crossed the meridian, the imaginary north-south line in the sky, they could not only tell time during the night, but also establish true celestial north on the ground with incredible fidelity. The real magic, however, was not in any single tool. It was in the sustained, generational effort of observation. The key was patience. An architect might spend a lifetime noting the precise point on the horizon where the bright star Sirius first gleamed at dawn, an event that heralded the Nile's life-giving flood. But his observations were added to those of his father and his grandfather before him. Over decades and centuries, these records created a fixed celestial map. They knew that certain stars, the circumpolar ones that never set, rotated around a fixed point in the northern sky. By aligning their monuments to that eternal pivot, they were connecting their stonework to the one part of the heavens that never changed, that never faltered. This long-term record-keeping was the true blueprint, guarded and refined within priestly schools. It meant that the plan for a pyramid's alignment could be settled generations before the pharaoh who would be honored by it was even born. The sophistication, then, lies not in complex machinery, but in the profound understanding that the universe itself was the most reliable instrument. Their genius was in learning to read it, measure it, and then patiently, stone by stone, transcribing its eternal order onto the earth below. The Giza Plateau stands as a masterclass in celestial engineering, a silent symphony of stone composed for the stars. Around 2,500 years before the Common Era, when the Great Pyramid reached its final capstone, the night sky wore a different face. The northern pole star was not Polaris as we know it today, but Theban, a bright beacon in the constellation Draco. And with breathtaking intention, the builders aimed a narrow, internal shaft from the pyramid's heart directly at that unmoving pivot of the ancient heavens. This was no ventilation duct. It was a carefully calculated stairway for the soul, a channel designed to guide the pharaoh's spirit straight to the eternal, undying realm of the circumpolar stars. But the builders did not stop with one alignment. On the southern face, other shafts reached out like stone telescopes, targeting the three brilliant stars of Orion's belt. In Egyptian mythology, Orion was the celestial embodiment of Osiris, the god of rebirth and the underworld. To point a royal tomb toward this constellation was to create a direct conduit for resurrection, linking the pharaoh's journey with the very cycle of death and renewal played out in the night sky. This profound connection forms the core of what is known as the Orion correlation theory, a fascinating proposal that the layout of the three main Giza pyramids mirrors the precise pattern of those three stars. While scholars vigorously debate the mathematical intent, the cultural significance is undeniable. The Egyptians were building a sacred landscape, a map of the heavens rendered in limestone and granite. This celestial mirroring extends to the very foundations. The sides of the Great Pyramid are aligned to the four cardinal directions with an accuracy within a fraction of a single degree. Achieving this on such a colossal scale, with a base covering over 13 acres, remains a staggering feat of practical astronomy. It speaks to a society that measured its worth, its stability, and its divine mandate by how perfectly it could reflect cosmic order on Earth. The grand spectacle continues with the enigmatic Sphinx. Its unwavering gaze is fixed precisely on the eastern horizon. On the morning of the spring equinox, a day of perfect balance between light and dark, the rising sun would have appeared directly over the Sphinx's shoulder, bathing the monument in a dramatic, symbolic rebirth of light. This was not passive observation, it was active participation. Every alignment served a layered purpose. On a spiritual level, the shafts provided a mapped route for the king's soul. On a political level, they reinforced the pharaoh's role as the living axis between the earthly and divine realms. And on a cultural level, they created a perpetual monument, ensuring that even as dynasties fell, the pharaoh's name and his connection to the cosmos would endure for eternity, written in a language of stone and stars that the universe itself would never forget. While the Egyptians looked to the northern stars, across the Atlantic a different celestial dance was being etched into stone. The Maya and Aztec builders saw their pyramids not merely as tombs, but as living mountains, portals to other realms they called wits. These were not inert monuments, but dynamic calendars made of rock, designed to interact with the sun and stars in spectacular public displays. The most famous of these is the descent of the serpent at Chichen Itza. During the spring and autumn equinoxes, the setting sun casts a series of triangular shadows along the stepped edges of El Castillo, merging with stone serpent heads at the base to create the illusion of a feathered serpent slithering down from the heavens. This was not a hidden secret but a grand communal event. It transformed the pyramid from a static building into a cosmic clock, announcing the time of balanced light and dark to the entire community, signaling the moments to prepare the earth for corn or to give thanks for the harvest. This obsession with precise timing went far beyond solar alignments. For the Maya, the planet Venus was a being of profound power, associated with war and rain. They tracked its complex 584-day cycle with astonishing accuracy, and evidence suggests that important buildings, like the governor's palace at Uxmal, were aligned to its extreme rising and setting points on the horizon. The Pleiades star cluster, known as Tzab to the Maya, was another critical marker. Its appearance in the pre-dawn sky signaled the beginning of the rainy season, the essential time for planting. This brings us to the majestic Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan. Its builders deliberately offset the entire structure by 15.5 degrees from true north. Scholars believe this precise orientation was designed so that, when viewed from the pyramid's summit, the Pleiades would set directly over its peak on the day it first appeared in the ancient sky, ceremonially linking the renewal of the stars with the renewal of life on Earth. The genius of these Mesoamerican builders was their synthesis of multiple cycles into a single architectural form. A single pyramid could simultaneously mark the solstices, track Venus, and signal the zenith passage, the 2 days each year when the sun passes directly overhead, casting no shadow at noon. This was a sophisticated, integrated timekeeping system built into the landscape. These structures served as the community's heartbeat. Priests and astronomers would use the platforms and sightlines to make their observations, and then the resulting alignments would dictate the sacred calendar, governing everything from the timing of royal ceremonies to the most practical aspects of agricultural life. When to clear the fields, when to plant the sacred maize, when to honor the gods of rain. All these decisions flowed from the celestial drama played out upon the stone stages of these mountainous calendars. They built a world where human time and cosmic time were one and the same, a harmony set in stone for all to witness. Yet another continent whispers the same story in a different tongue. Scattered across the plains near Xi'an, China, lie silent, grass-covered giants. These are not the geometric stone peaks of Giza or the stepped temples of Teotihuacan, but massive earthen mounds, the resting places of China's earliest emperors. Shrouded in a unique veil of modern military secrecy and historical mystery, these pyramids have been far less accessible to global study, making their celestial secrets even more tantalizing. What we do understand suggests that here, too, the sky was the ultimate blueprint. Ancient Chinese cosmology was built on a triad of profound harmony between heaven, earth, and humanity. The emperor, the son of heaven, was the living pivot of this relationship. His sacred duty was to maintain this balance, and his eternal tomb was the final, permanent anchor of that mandate. To achieve this, the placement of these monumental mounds was governed by a sophisticated fusion of astronomy and geomancy, known as Feng Shui, which translates literally as wind and water. This was not mere decoration, it was a precise science of placement. The goal was to align structures with the invisible currents of life force, or Chi, and with the visible patterns of the stars to concentrate fortune and ensure stability. The landscape itself was read as a celestial diagram. A nearby mountain might represent a protective celestial turtle. A river might mirror the Milky Way. The tomb was positioned as the central point in this living map, often aligned with the North Celestial Pole, the unmoving center of the heavens. In Chinese belief, the constellation we call the Big Dipper was seen as the chariot of the supreme deity, revolving around that pole. Aligning an emperor's tomb with this cosmic pivot was a way to tether his dynasty's legacy directly to the engine of the universe, securing heavenly favor for eternity. The very shape of these mounds is significant. While many are truncated pyramids with flat tops, their form echoes the ancient Chinese character for hill or mound, a symbol of stability and endurance. Their orientations are believed to reflect the complex calculations of imperial astrologers, who determined auspicious angles based on the emperor's birth chart, the prevailing elements of his reign, and the desired flow of Chi. This made each pyramid a unique cosmological device, calibrated for a specific individual's journey to maintain order from beyond. The profound silence surrounding these sites today adds to their mystique. Unlike the exposed stones of Egypt, these earthen tombs keep their secrets close, their precise alignments and internal chambers largely uncharted by modern archaeology. Yet their very existence reinforces a universal truth. From the deserts of Egypt to the jungles of Mesoamerica to the plains of China, the most powerful rulers sought the same source of legitimacy. They built their authority not just on armies and administration, but on a demonstrated harmony with the cosmos. By aligning their eternal homes with the stars, they were making a claim that resonated deeper than any edict. Their power was written into the fabric of the night sky itself, a mandate meant to last as long as the heavens turned. Far to the south, where the Nile carves a path through golden sands, a different silhouette breaks the horizon. The pyramids of Meroe rise with a striking, confident steepness, their sharp angles casting long shadows like rows of stone teeth. These are not the colossal plateau monuments of Giza, but the elegant, steep-sided markers of the Kingdom of Kush, a civilization that rivaled Egypt and then outlasted it. Their very form is a declaration of independence, a bold architectural statement that says, "We learned, we adapted, but we built our own tradition." While the cultural influence flowing north from Egypt is undeniable, a closer look at their placement reveals a distinct celestial signature, a southern sky written in a different stone dialect. Where the Great Pyramid aligns with meticulous precision to the cardinal directions, many Nubian pyramids display a noticeable east-west orientation, their faces turned deliberately away from true north. This was no error in construction. It suggests a profound shift in cosmic focus. Instead of fixating on the circumpolar stars of the northern heavens, the Kushite astronomers may have been tracking the path of the sun with even greater devotion, or aligning their royal tombs with the life-giving flow of the Nile itself, which runs roughly north-south. Their sacred axis might have been hydrological as much as it was celestial, connecting the ruler's eternal rest to the river that sustained the kingdom. The local pantheon offers another clue. Kush worshipped its own deities like the lion-headed god Epidemic, a powerful war god associated with the sun's scorching power. It is compelling to consider that the orientation of a pyramid, perhaps facing the dawn on a day sacred to Epidemic, would channel that divine solar energy directly to the entombed king. Other alignments might point to significant stars in the southern sky, stars that held mythic importance for Kushite stellar cults but were unseen or ignored by their northern neighbors. This is the crucial insight offered by these silent sentinels of the desert. The practice of celestial alignment was not a rigid blueprint exported from one cultural capital. It was a flexible, living language of stone and sky. Each civilization learned the grammatical rules of how to track solstices, how to fix an axis, but then composed its own unique narrative. The Kushites took the concept of the pyramid and infused it with their own landscape, their own gods, and their own observations of the heavens above their portion of the earth. Their pyramids stand as magnificent proof that this ancient science was a global impulse, a shared human yearning to find order and meaning in the cosmos, answered in beautifully diverse ways. But the celestial conversation was not limited to the sun and the fixed stars. The moon, with its haunting, cyclical dance, also left its mark on the stone. Contemplate the possibility of a pyramid chamber illuminated not by the golden blaze of the sun, but by the cool, silvery light of a full moon reaching a precise altar only once every 18.6 years. This is the cycle of the lunar standstill, the point where the moon reaches its most extreme northern or southern rise on the horizon, a slow, majestic rhythm far beyond a human lifetime. Tracking this required a different kind of patience, a sacred knowledge passed down through generations with the explicit instruction, watch for the moon to touch that distant hill, and when it does, your grandson's grandson will know the time has come. Evidence for such lunar alignments is found in places like the ancient stone rose at Karnak in France, where the massive menhirs seem to frame these extreme lunar risings. In the Americas, certain Hopewell culture mounds in the Ohio Valley are also thought to be oriented to these lunar extremes, suggesting a shared, deep time awareness across cultures that the moon's longest rhythms held a special, perhaps prophetic power. This pursuit of cosmic patterns extended to the wandering stars, the planets. The Maya, as we've seen, were unmatched Venus watchers, viewing its appearances as the movements of a capricious god linked to war and rain. Their codices contain incredibly precise tables predicting its cycles, and this obsession translated to architecture. The governor's palace at Uxmal, for example, is aligned not to a cardinal direction, but along an axis that points to the southernmost rising point of Venus on the horizon. This was not for public spectacle like the Equinox serpent at Chichen Itza, but likely for elite, priestly observation. It signaled a shift from communal calendar to specialized knowledge. Tracking a planet like Venus with its complex pattern of appearing as a morning star, then vanishing, then reappearing as an evening star, required advanced long-term record-keeping. Mastering this cycle meant one could predict its movements, and in a worldview where Venus was a deity, prediction was akin to prophecy. It granted the ruling class an unparalleled authority, a demonstrated ability to converse with the most unpredictable celestial powers. These lunar and planetary alignments reveal a deeper layer of ancient intent. While solar alignments marked the communal rhythms of life and agriculture, these longer, more esoteric cycles served a different purpose. They were the tools of an intellectual elite, a demonstration of access to hidden cosmic truths. The ability to announce that in 9 years, Venus will align with that temple doorway, or that the next major lunar standstill will illuminate the inner sanctum, was a form of power that transcended the seasonal. It showed a command over time itself, a knowledge so profound it could foresee celestial events a common person would never live to see repeated. This generational commitment to observation, to preserving data across centuries, is perhaps their most staggering achievement. It speaks to a civilization not just in harmony with the cosmos, but in deep, studious dialogue with it, seeking to understand every note in the grand celestial symphony, from the daily drumbeat of the sun to the rare, haunting chord of the moon's longest cycle. These stories in the stars were not idle fables, but the very blueprints for reality. The Egyptian myth of Osiris is a perfect example. His story is one of betrayal, loss, and ultimate rebirth, a cycle mirrored in the annual flooding of the Nile and the eternal rotation of the night sky. When his soul was placed among the stars as the constellation Orion, it transformed that patch of light into a divine biography. The pyramids at Giza, with their shafts targeting Orion's belt, were not just pointing at stars, they were building a direct gateway to that ongoing story. To enter a tomb aligned with Osiris was to step into the narrative of resurrection itself, ensuring the pharaoh would become a character in that celestial drama for eternity. This reveals a fundamental truth about how these ancient cultures perceived the world. There was no division between what we call mythology and what we call science. The story was the explanation, the meaning was the map. The constellations were not random dots connected by imagination. They were gods, ancestors, and sacred animals permanently etched onto the dome of the sky. Aligning a monument with a specific constellation was therefore an act of profound integration. It was a way to capture the essence of that deity, to house its power and its narrative right here on the ground within the community. This practice created what scholars call a cosmogram, a miniature model of the universe. The pyramid complex became a sacred landscape where myth took physical form. For the Maya, the 3 stars of Orion's belt were not a hunter, but a celestial hearthstone, the place of cosmic creation and the fire at the center of the home. By arranging their cities and temples to reflect this pattern, they were building their world literally upon the foundation of creation. Similarly, the Dogon people of Mali, though not pyramid builders, hold a deep astronomical tradition associating the star Sirius with the origin of all things, demonstrating how widespread this impulse was to root a culture's identity in a specific celestial anchor. This mirroring of heaven and earth served a powerful social purpose. It connected the mundane rhythm of daily life, planting, governing, celebrating, to the epic, timeless drama playing out overhead. When a farmer looked up at night and saw the same stars that were mirrored in the king's tomb, he was reminded that his work, his community, and his ruler were all part of a grand, divine order. The pyramid was the permanent, unmovable proof of that contract between the people and the cosmos. It made the myth tangible. It turned an abstract story about gods in the sky into a stone reality you could walk around, a truth so solid it would outlast generations. This is why the precision of the alignment mattered so deeply. A slight error was not just an engineering mistake, it was a theological flaw. It meant the story was being told wrong, the connection was flawed, and the sacred power of the myth might not flow correctly into the world. The architects were therefore more than builders, they were custodians of the narrative, ensuring that the community's most important stories were forever correctly anchored in both earth and sky. The staggering ambition of these celestial blueprints demanded an equally staggering mastery of engineering. To translate a vision of cosmic harmony into millions of tons of limestone and granite required a society that could solve immense practical puzzles. Stand at the base of the Great Pyramid and let the scale wash over you. Over 2 million individual blocks, some weighing more than 15 tons, were quarried, transported, and set into place with a precision that still baffles modern surveyors. All of this had to be accomplished while maintaining perfect celestial orientation over a construction period that could span 20 years or more. The true genius lies in how seamlessly the astronomical goals dictated the engineering methods. Finding true north was the sacred first step, the establishment of the world axis. Without modern instruments, the builders likely used the unchanging circumpolar stars as their guide. Here is one elegant method they may have employed. An observer would mark the position on the horizon where a specific circumpolar star first rose. They would then mark the point many hours later where that same star set. By carefully bisecting the angle between these 2 points, they could pinpoint true north with an accuracy within a fraction of a degree. This was not a one-time measurement. This alignment would have been checked and rechecked over years, a constant celestial calibration against which every stone was judged. But a perfectly oriented foundation is useless if it is not perfectly level. How do you create a flat plain across 13 acres of uneven desert bedrock? Their solution was both simple and brilliant. They dug a grid of shallow trenches across the entire building site and filled them with water. The surface of the water, seeking its own level, created a flawless horizontal plane. By measuring down from this waterline at countless points, workers could chip away high spots and fill in low areas until the entire gargantuan base was as flat as a still pond. This meticulous process ensured that the pyramid would rise from a foundation that mirrored the perfect, stable plane of the horizon itself. This monumental work speaks to a profound social organization. It required a seamless synergy between 2 elite groups, the astronomer priests and the master builders. The astronomers were the visionaries, the ones who spent lifetimes mapping the sky, determining the exact angle for a shaft to target Orion or the precise day the sun would blaze down the street of the dead. They provided the sacred coordinates, the celestial map. The master builders were the pragmatic artists who transformed that map into reality. They developed the ramps, the levers, the logistics for moving mountains of stone, all while adhering to the unforgiving tolerances set by the heavens. This was not a society of slaves driven by a whip, but a coordinated civilization of specialized knowledge. Stone masons, quartermasters, surveyors, and laborers all worked in concert under a shared, transcendent purpose. The true marvel of these monuments is not found solely in the astronomy or the engineering alone, but in their inseparable union. The abstract cosmic vision provided the unwavering why, and the practical, large-scale engineering solved the monumental how. It was this synergy that allowed a civilization to build a mountain that was also a star map, to create a tomb that was also a timekeeping instrument, to literally anchor their kingdom to the turning points of the cosmos. They proved that the deepest human aspirations could be given form, stone by patient stone, aligned with the eternal dance of the lights above. A Mesopotamian ziggurat and a Mayan pyramid, separated by oceans and thousands of years, share an uncanny architectural kinship. Both rise in majestic, stepped tiers towards the heavens, as if different cultures were answering the same silent call from the sky. This visual echo forces a profound question upon us. Was this a shared blueprint passed from one ancient teacher to another across the globe? Or is it evidence of something deeper within us all? The weight of scholarly evidence leans powerfully toward independent discovery. The fundamental ingredients were universal: a dependence on agriculture, a naked, unpolluted night sky, and the human mind's innate drive to find patterns. When your survival hinges on knowing when the rains will come or the river will flood, you look up, you track the sun's journey, you note the stars' return, and you begin to see time not as a line but as a sacred, repeating cycle. Building a monument aligned with that cycle was the ultimate act of participation, a way to weave your community's fate directly into the fabric of the cosmos. This shared starting point naturally led to similar architectural solutions. A stepped structure is in many ways the most logical and stable form for reaching great heights with stone or brick. It creates a staircase for ritual processions, a symbolic mountain linking earth to heaven. So while the form appears similar, the stories encoded within them are wonderfully distinct. The ziggurat of was likely dedicated to the moon god Nana, its stages perhaps representing the lunar phases. The Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan was a colossal solar marker. The same tool, adapted to tell completely different celestial stories. This parallel development is not a mystery to be solved, but a truth to be celebrated. It reveals a shared human impulse, a kind of cognitive convergence, where diverse minds confronting the same fundamental challenges, time, survival, meaning, arrived at eerily similar profound conclusions. They each looked at the same sun, the same moon, and felt the same awe. Their response was to build anchors, to create points of permanence in a changing world by tethering stone to star. This independent spark across continents makes the phenomenon more meaningful, not less. It suggests that aligning with the cosmos is not a forgotten secret of one lost civilization, but a fundamental thread in the story of humanity itself. Our ancestors, in their isolation, were all speaking the same silent language of reverence, written in geometry against the sky. The conversation around these ancient wonders is often clouded by sensational claims of impossible knowledge. A popular narrative suggests that such precision could only be the work of extraterrestrial visitors or a forgotten, hyper-advanced civilization. These are compelling stories, but they share a common flaw. They fundamentally underestimate the profound capabilities of the human mind across millennia. The truth is, we have extensive evidence of the gradual, painstaking development of both astronomy and engineering. We can trace the evolution of the pyramid from simple burial mounds to the geometric giants of Giza, see the improvement in stone-working techniques over centuries, and study the star charts and water levels they left behind. The leap to alien intervention isn't just unnecessary, it dismisses the real, documented genius of our ancestors. Consider the often cited perfect alignments. While astonishing, they are almost always within a small margin of error, a range entirely achievable with the simple tools of the gnomon, the merkit, and generational patience. A slight shift in the foundation over thousands of years, or a tiny observational variance by the ancient architect, accounts for these minute deviations. They weren't building with laser guidance, they were building with relentless dedication and skill, and their results stand as a testament to that. Another frequent myth involves hidden mathematical constants, like the value of pi or the golden ratio, supposedly encoded in the pyramid's proportions. Scholars point out that many of these discoveries emerge from choosing specific modern units of measurement after the fact. If you measure a structure as vast as the Great Pyramid in any unit, you can find countless ratios, some of which will coincidentally approximate known constants. The builders' primary units were the cubit and the palm, and their geometry was likely based on practical, sacred, and symbolic ratios important to their culture. not on abstract mathematical concepts as we define them today. This critical perspective does not diminish the wonder, it redirects our awe to the proper source. To attribute these works to aliens is to rob the ancient Egyptians, the Maya, the Kushites, and the builders of Teotihuacan of their rightful legacy. It replaces their story with a science fiction plot. The real narrative is one of human triumph, of societies so attuned to their world that they could orchestrate a mountain of stone to sing in harmony with the heavens. Their intellect, their coordinated effort, and their spiritual vision are the true marvels. By letting go of the fantastical, we can fully appreciate the tangible historical achievement, a story of ingenuity written not by visitors from another star, but by people not so different from us who looked at the same sky and dared to build a reply. The true test of any celestial theory lies in the cold, hard data of a modern survey. High on a windswept plateau, an archaeoastronomer sets up a digital theodolite, its lens trained not on a distant mountain, but on the edge of a crumbling stone wall. Their work is a meticulous form of reverse engineering, a dialogue between the precision of our technology and the precision of the past. They are not looking for mystical energies, they are collecting coordinates, measuring azimuths, and calculating declinations with a level of accuracy the original builders could only dream of achieving through generations of observation. This raw data is just the beginning. To breathe life back into these silent stones, researchers turn to sophisticated planetarium software. Programs like Stellarium can wind back the cosmic clock, removing centuries of atmospheric pollution and precisely calculating the position of every star and planet on any given night in, say, the year 2500 before the Common Era. This allows them to ask a direct question when the builders stood here. What did they see? Would the star Sirius have risen directly over that distant notch in the hills on the morning the foundation was laid? The answer is often a resounding, statistically significant yes, but a single alignment is not enough. The central challenge of this science is separating a deliberate, cultural choice from a random accident of geography. A wall might point north simply because it was easier to build that way, or a doorway might frame the setting sun purely by chance. This is where the scientific method earns its keep. Researchers build a case not on one measurement, but on a convergence of evidence. They look for multiple alignments within a single site, perhaps a main pyramid oriented to the solstice sunrise, a nearby temple aligned to the lunar standstill, and a processional way pointing to the heliacal rising of a specific star. This pattern of intentionality becomes hard to dismiss. They then cross-reference this architectural data with every other available clue. Can ancient texts or inscriptions be found that mention a ceremony tied to that specific star? Does ethnography from descendant communities preserve stories or traditions that speak of that celestial event? Even climatic data can play a role, confirming that a solstice marker truly did align with the beginning of the rainy season. This rigorous, multidisciplinary process is slow and painstaking. It weeds out the sensational claims, the patterns seen only in hindsight, and focuses instead on what the evidence can robustly support. It transforms a fascinating possibility into a credible window into the ancient mind. By grounding the poetry of the stars in the prose of mathematics and material science, this method does not diminish the wonder, it deepens our respect. It shows us that the harmony they sought with the cosmos was not a vague wish, but a measurable, achievable reality, built one careful observation, one perfectly placed stone at a time. Deep in the rolling green hills of Ireland's Boyne Valley, a different kind of mountain holds a secret older than the stones of Giza. Newgrange is a vast, circular mound of earth and white quartz, built over 5,000 years ago, a millennium before the first Egyptian pyramid rose from the desert. It is not a pyramid in shape, but it speaks the same celestial language with breathtaking clarity. At its heart lies a long, narrow passage, a dark corridor stretching over 60 feet into the center of the mound. For most of the year, this inner chamber rests in profound, silent darkness, but for a few precious minutes around the dawn of the winter solstice, something miraculous happens. The rising sun, at its lowest, weakest point in the yearly journey, aligns perfectly with a specially constructed roof box, a window-like slit above the entrance. A slender beam of golden light pierces the long tunnel, flooding the central chamber with a radiant glow that lasts for approximately 17 minutes before fading away. This is not a chance event. It is a feat of engineering and astronomical intent crafted by Neolithic farmers over 300 generations ago. The precision required to capture that specific sunrise on that specific day, with a beam of light traveling a perfectly straight path into a buried room, rivals the alignments of any pyramid. It tells us that the impulse to build monuments to celestial cycles is far older and more widespread than any single architectural form. For the community that built Newgrange, the darkest day of the year was a time of deep symbolic power. As the sun seemed to weaken and the world grew cold, they created a mechanism of stone and earth to prove its inevitable return. That 17-minute spectacle of light penetrating the deepest dark was a dramatic promise of rebirth. It connected the physical remains of their ancestors resting within the chamber to the life-giving force of the sun, assuring the community that the cycle would continue, that light would always overcome darkness. This profound ritual, locked into the landscape, provided a tangible anchor of hope and continuity. The example of Newgrange beautifully broadens our entire perspective. It shows that the pyramid is not the origin point of this practice, but rather one particularly grand and enduring manifestation of a deep, primal human need. From the passage tombs of Ireland to the stone circles of Britain, from the temple platforms of Malta to the earliest Mesopotamian ziggurats, cultures across the ancient world independently sought to harness the fundamental rhythms of light and darkness. They used whatever form was meaningful to them, a mound, a circle, a stepped mountain, to ritualize the cosmos. This shared drive transcends specific gods or kings, pointing instead to a universal human response to the sky. It was about making the intangible tangible, turning the abstract journey of the sun into a visible, communal event that could be witnessed, celebrated, and trusted. When we look at a pyramid now, we can see it as part of this vast, ancient conversation, a conversation written not in words, but in aligned passages and captured beams of light, a dialogue between humanity and the heavens that began long before history as we know it was ever recorded. This interplay of light and stone reached its most theatrical expression not in vast chambers, but on a sheer cliff face. High on Fajoda but in Choco Canyon, 3 massive stone slabs lean against the rock. Behind them, ancient artists carved a precise spiral into the sandstone. For most of the year, this petroglyph sits in silent shadow, but on the summer solstice, a brilliant sliver of sunlight, known as the sun dagger, slices directly through the center of the spiral. On the winter solstice, 2 daggers of light perfectly bracket it. At the equinoxes, a single shaft of light bisects a smaller, adjacent carving. This is not a monument of scale, but one of pure, concentrated intention. It is celestial stagecraft in its most elemental form, where the sun itself becomes the actor, and a sliver of rock is the director, cueing its entrance on the most sacred days of the year. This same principle of calculated illumination was amplified to a colossal scale in pyramid design. These structures were not passive recipients of sunlight, they were active instruments designed to manipulate it. The architects understood that a pyramid's shadow was a dynamic, sweeping hand on a gigantic sundial. As the sun's height changed with the seasons, so too did the length and direction of the shadow cast by the pyramid's perfect geometry. A priest or a farmer could watch that shadow stretch across the plaza and know without a written calendar that the time for planting or a harvest festival was near. The pyramid's shadow became a public clock, its silent movement marking the passage of time for the entire community to see. But the manipulation went further, into the realm of divine theater. Deep within a pyramid's core or in a darkened temple sanctuary, a statue of a god or a king might sit in perpetual gloom. Yet on one specific day, perhaps the ruler's coronation day or a day sacred to a particular deity, the architects would design a shaft or an opening so that the rising or setting sun would send a single, piercing beam of light directly onto that statue's face. For the assembled witnesses, this was not a trick of the light. It was a miracle made manifest. It was the sun god himself reaching out to touch his chosen representative, a visible, undeniable affirmation of the king's divine right. This transformation of abstract astronomy into visceral experience was the ultimate goal. The complex mathematics of celestial movement, the precise angles of declination, all of this hidden labor culminated in a moment of shared awe. When the crowd saw the serpent of shadow slither down El Castillo, or when a beam of light ignited a golden altar on a pre-dawn morning, the invisible forces that governed their world became tangible. Time was no longer an abstract concept, it was a drama played out on a stone stage. The divine was not distant, it was actively engaging with the monument at that very moment. This active stagecraft served a profound social purpose. It democratized cosmic knowledge. Not everyone could understand the star charts or perform the calculations, but everyone could witness the result. The pyramid, through its masterful play of light and shadow, made the order of the cosmos accessible to every member of society, from the highest priest to the humblest farmer. It translated the silent language of the heavens into a spectacle of stone and light, a recurring performance that reinforced the sacred contract between the people, their rulers, and the universe itself. The true genius lies in this transformation, turning cold celestial mechanics into a source of communal wonder and solidified belief. That dazzling interplay of light and shadow served a purpose far beyond spectacle. It was the visual cornerstone of an ancient political technology, a permanent, unanswerable argument for the ruler's right to govern. The pyramid was the ultimate instrument of statecraft, a mountain-sized billboard proclaiming a single, powerful message: the king alone commands the cosmos. This was not a vague spiritual claim, but a demonstrable fact engineered into stone. By monopolizing the complex science of astronomy, the priestly and royal elite held the keys to time itself. They knew when the Nile would flood, when the rains would come, when the seasons would turn. This knowledge was power in its purest form, and they embedded it in the state's most ambitious, most visible project. To align a mountain with the sun was to show you had persuaded the heavens to cooperate. It proved a unique divine connection. For the common farmer or laborer, this was not abstract theology. It was a daily, visible reality. Seeing the pyramid's shadow mark the solstice, or hearing the priests announce a festival date that always proved correct, reinforced a simple, powerful logic. If the king can order the sun and stars, then surely his authority over land, labor, and law is equally natural and unchallengeable. This fusion of celestial science and political authority was brilliantly effective. It transformed the immense social burden of pyramid construction from forced toil into a sacred, communal duty. Contributing to this cosmic anchor was not just obeying a ruler, it was participating in the maintenance of the universe itself, ensuring the harmony that kept the world from chaos. It justified a steep social hierarchy, for only a specialized, supported elite could devote lifetimes to the observations and calculations required. It centralized authority, as all major decisions, from agricultural cycles to religious ceremonies, flowed from this single, state-controlled interpretation of the sky. The promise of celestial order, so vividly set in stone, mirrored and enforced the desired social order. The pyramid did not just point to the stars, it pointed directly to the throne, saying, "This is not a man, this is the axis of the world." For generations, this silent argument in limestone and geometry mobilized entire civilizations, directing their collective effort, their artistry, and their faith toward these staggering projects, ensuring the stability of regimes by making their legitimacy as seemingly eternal as the turning of the heavens. The grand celestial narratives we have traced now meet a necessary grounding question. How do we know any of this was truly intended? Enter the quiet, rigorous world of academic debate, where a compelling correlation for one scholar is dismissed by another as a statistical fluke. The most famous of these controversies swirls around the Orion correlation theory for the Giza pyramids. While the cultural connection between Osiris and Orion is undeniable, the precise mathematical mirroring of the stars on the ground is hotly contested. Critics argue that the pyramid's arrangement can be explained by topography, available bedrock, and evolving royal burial customs, and that forcing a perfect stellar match requires selective interpretation of the archaeological facts. This debate highlights a central challenge: the risk of seeing patterns where none were intended, of projecting our modern fascination with precise astronomy onto a world where myth, geography, and utility were inseparably fused. Another layer of complexity is added by a slow cosmic dance known as the precession of the equinoxes. Earth's axis wobbles like a spinning top over a cycle of about 26,000 years, gradually shifting the entire backdrop of the stars. The North Star was Theban in ancient Egypt, not Polaris. A shaft aligned to a specific star 5,000 years ago would point to empty space today. Reconstructing the ancient sky requires not just sophisticated software, but a humility about the exact date of construction, as a difference of a few centuries can change which celestial body an alignment truly targeted. This forces a crucial distinction between what is astronomically possible and what is historically probable. We must also guard against letting a captivating astronomical explanation overshadow a monument's other, perhaps primary, purposes. A pyramid was, first and foremost, a tomb, a temple, a political symbol, and an economic engine for its society. To reduce it solely to an observatory is to flatten its rich cultural meaning. The alignments were likely one thread in a much denser tapestry of function. A solstice alignment did not negate its role as a royal resting place. It enhanced it, infusing the funerary rite with cosmic significance. Responsible interpretation, therefore, requires a careful balance. It weighs architectural measurements against ancient texts, ethnographic records, and the practical constraints of the landscape. It acknowledges where the evidence is strong, such as the solstice alignments at Teotihuacan or Newgrange, and where it remains intriguing but speculative. This is not a failure of the science, but its strength. It embraces the enduring mystery while building patiently on what can be reliably demonstrated. In the end, these controversies remind us that the past is not a puzzle to be solved with a single key, but a conversation to be joined with respect, curiosity, and a willingness to listen to the many voices of stone, of star, and of scholar that still have something to say. That ancient conversation between architecture and the heavens never truly ended. We simply changed the materials and updated the vocabulary. Look up at the sleek, soaring glass facade of a modern skyscraper, its entire eastern wall angled to capture the morning sun while minimizing the harsh afternoon heat. This is passive solar design, a principle of alignment not for a pharaoh's soul, but for energy efficiency and human comfort. The fundamental impulse remains the same: to harmonize our structures with the sun's path, to use celestial mechanics as a blueprint for building a better world. The pyramid's symbolic power found a direct descendant in monuments like the Washington Monument on the National Mall. Its stark, obelisk form, a cousin to the pyramid, creates a powerful axis in the landscape, and its alignment within the Capitol's grand design speaks to an enduring desire for order and permanence in civic life. While our towers are not tombs for god-kings, the pyramidal form itself carries a timeless resonance. The Transamerica Pyramid in San Francisco uses its distinctive shape not for celestial shafts, but as a bold icon of corporate innovation and stability, its profile instantly recognizable against the skyline. I.M. Pei's glass pyramid at the Louvre serves as a stunning, modern gateway to ancient art, a conscious homage that creates a dialogue between past and present through geometry and light. In countless civic buildings, courthouses, and museums, the pyramid or its triangulated elements are used to convey solemnity, endurance, and a connection to historical wisdom. The alignment is often more subtle, but the message is clear. Some forms feel eternally anchored. This evolution marks a profound shift in intent. The theocratic imperative, the need to legitimize a ruler through the stars, has largely faded. In its place, we find new drivers: sustainability, aesthetic statement, and cultural continuity. Architects now align buildings to maximize natural light, reduce carbon footprints, and create healthier spaces for people. A practical, human-centered application of solar principles our ancestors would deeply understand. The symbolic alignment, however, persists in our desire to ground important institutions in a sense of timelessness. We may not believe a senator's spirit will travel up a beam of light to join the constellation Orion, but we still choose forms and orientations that feel solid, purposeful, and connected to a larger story. The legacy is not in replicating ancient blueprints, but in continuing the core dialogue. It is the unbroken thread of looking at the sun's journey and asking, how can we build in concert with this? From the stone calendar of Giza to the silicon-controlled glazing of a green skyscraper, the answer continues to evolve, proving that our yearning to place our mark on the Earth in harmony with the cosmos is a permanent part of the human story. The ancient astronomer at Giza saw a sky we can scarcely comprehend today, where they witnessed the Milky Way as a luminous, detailed river of light. Most of us now see only a faint, washed-out haze if we see it at all. This is the pervasive effect of light pollution, the artificial glow from our cities, roads, and homes that bleeds into the night, obscuring the stars. It is a silent, global erasure, and it poses a direct threat to understanding the very monuments we seek to preserve. We can protect the stones from erosion and vandalism, but how do we protect the sky above them? The celestial canvas for which these pyramids were designed is fading, and with it fades our ability to fully grasp the awe that inspired their construction. For the builders, the stars were not distant points of light. They were vibrant, active deities and precise navigational markers. To stand at the foot of the Great Pyramid today, under an orange-tinted sky devoid of all but the brightest stars, is to experience a profound disconnect. The monument remains, but half of its conversation partner has been muted. This loss hampers more than just romantic stargazing. It impedes serious archaeoastronomical research. Confirming a subtle alignment with a specific star cluster becomes exponentially harder when that cluster is invisible to the naked eye from the site. Our tools can calculate it, but we lose the visceral, human-scale verification, the moment of seeing with our own eyes what the ancient priest saw. This is why preservation efforts are expanding their scope beyond the physical ruins. There is a growing movement to protect the intangible heritage of the night sky, to create buffers of darkness around World Heritage sites. The concept of dark sky parks and reserves is gaining traction in places like Choco Canyon in New Mexico, where efforts to minimize artificial light allow visitors to occasionally witness the heavens in something approaching their ancient glory. These initiatives are not about turning back the clock, but about safeguarding a fundamental dimension of human culture. They allow for moments of genuine connection, where a modern visitor can stand in a sacred space and on a clear, dark night, glimpse the same stellar panorama that dictated the placement of every stone. This completes the circle of understanding. We can read the alignment data in a textbook, but to stand in the darkness and watch Orion rise precisely where a pyramid shaft points is to feel that alignment in your bones. It transforms an abstract archaeological fact into a shared human experience across time. Protecting this darkness is an act of profound respect, ensuring that future generations are not left with a silent monument and a blank sky, but can occasionally witness the full, dazzling dialogue between Earth and cosmos that these ancient architects so masterfully composed. The same stars that guided ancient builders are still overhead tonight, waiting for anyone to look up and join their timeless story. You do not need to stand before a pyramid to touch this legacy. The fundamental practice of celestial observation is a living tradition, one you can begin from your own backyard or a local park with nothing more than a moment of attention. Start with the sun, our most reliable cosmic clock. Find a fixed viewpoint you can return to, a window, a garden bench, a specific spot on a sidewalk. Simply note where the sun rises or sets on the horizon on the days surrounding the solstices and equinoxes. You will witness its slow migration, a journey from its southernmost winter retreat to its high summer arc. That subtle shift is the very rhythm ancient architects sought to capture in stone. To see it with your own eyes is to understand, on a visceral level, why those turning points held such profound power. It transforms a historical fact into a personal, seasonal marker in your own life. Your smartphone holds powerful tools to extend this exploration. With a properly calibrated compass app, you can investigate the orientation of local historical structures, an old church, a town hall, a forgotten stone wall. Many older buildings, especially those from eras when communities lived closer to the land, were deliberately aligned. You might discover a facade facing true east for the morning light, or a main axis pointing toward a significant local landmark that once held celestial meaning. This simple act of measurement turns a casual walk into a detective story, searching for hidden intentions in the landscape around you. For the night sky, free planetarium apps are like time machines. They can wipe away light pollution and rewind the celestial clock. Point your phone at the sky, and the app will overlay the constellations but go further. Use its settings to dial back the date to 3,000 years ago to 5,000. Watch as the familiar sky pivots, the North Star shifts, Orion stands in a different position. You can simulate the exact sky that an Egyptian priest or a Mayan astronomer would have seen on a specific sacred night. This digital window makes their world immediate, revealing the precise celestial stage for which they built their earthly theaters. By taking these small steps, you are participating in the same fundamental human practice that spans continents and millennia. You are not just learning about archaeoastronomy, you are doing it. This hands-on connection achieves something profound. It bridges the immense gap between our modern, illuminated world and the ancient, star-filled night. Suddenly, the precision of the Great Pyramid is no longer an abstract feat of a lost civilization. It becomes the magnified, monumental result of the same basic observation you just made from your window. The awe you feel watching the solstice sun find its notch is the same awe that motivated generations of laborers to move mountains of stone. They simply had the vision, the will, and the collective purpose to etch that feeling into the earth forever. This personal engagement turns history from a subject into an experience, reminding us that we are all under the same sun, gazing at the same stars, connected by a shared, innate curiosity to find our place in the cosmos. The silent stones of these ancient sites are beginning to speak a new language, one read not by human eyes but by subatomic particles from deep space. Muon tomography is a technique that sounds like science fiction, yet it is revealing realities hidden for millennia. It works by detecting muons, cosmic ray particles that constantly rain down on Earth, passing through solid matter. Dense materials like stone absorb more of these particles, while voids or chambers allow more to pass through. By placing sensitive muon detectors around a structure like the Great Pyramid, researchers can create a three-dimensional density map, essentially an X-ray on a monumental scale. This non-invasive method has already hinted at a large, previously unknown void within the pyramid, a discovery that could reshape our understanding of its internal design and perhaps its celestial purpose. The true promise lies not in finding treasure, but in mapping the unseen architecture, the hidden passages or chambers that might hold the final, definitive clues to the builder's astronomical intent. Above the dense jungles of Central America and Cambodia, another revolutionary eye is sweeping the landscape. LiDAR, which stands for light detection and ranging, uses laser pulses fired from an aircraft to penetrate the thickest forest canopy. The reflections create a precise, three-dimensional map of the ground surface below, stripping away centuries of overgrowth in digital form. What has been revealed is nothing short of breathtaking. Vast ceremonial landscapes, entire networks of causeways, plazas, and smaller pyramids, all laid out with geometric precision, have emerged from the green darkness. These discoveries show that what we once thought were isolated temples are often parts of immense, integrated complexes, designed as unified cosmograms. With this new map in hand, archaeoastronomers can now analyze the alignments of these newly revealed structures as a connected system, searching for patterns that span dozens of miles, patterns that may mirror constellations or track planetary cycles across a sacred geography. On the ground, tools like ground-penetrating radar send pulses into the earth, revealing buried walls, foundations, and artifacts without a single shovel breaking the soil. This allows researchers to trace the full extent of an ancient site, understanding its boundaries and its relationship to the horizon, which is essential for confirming solstice or equinox alignments. Meanwhile, advanced astrochronological software has become a time machine of unparalleled precision. It can now account for subtle changes in Earth's orbit and axial tilt over millennia, calculating the exact appearance of the night sky on a specific historical date with incredible accuracy. This means we can now ask with greater confidence than ever before, did the rising sun truly strike that altar on the founder's birthday 3,200 years ago? The answer is becoming clearer. This technological revolution is transforming speculation into testable science. Long-held theories about celestial alignments can now be rigorously examined with data that was simply inaccessible a generation ago. We are moving from wondering if a wall points to a star to definitively proving when, and for how long, that alignment was astronomically significant. But perhaps the most exciting prospect is the unknown. As these tools survey more of our planet, from remote deserts to uncharted valleys, we are bound to discover entirely new sights. Each one is a fresh page in the ancient text of the sky. What if we find a pyramid complex aligned to a cycle we have not yet considered, or a monument that tracks a celestial event so rare it occurs only once every 1,000 years? These future discoveries hold the potential to do more than fill in gaps. They could reveal entirely new chapters in the story of human ingenuity, showing us that our ancestors' conversation with the cosmos was even more profound, more nuanced, and more beautifully complex than we ever dared to dream. The pyramid endures as our most universal architectural symbol, not because of its shape, but because of the profound human yearnings it crystallizes in stone. It is a form that speaks a silent, global language of aspiration. At its core, the pyramid represents the audacious desire to reach upward, to physically and spiritually bridge the immense gap between the earthly realm and the heavens above. This was not merely about building tall, it was about building a permanent ladder to the divine, a mountain crafted by human hands to touch the domain of the gods and stars. In every civilization that raised one, the pyramid served as the ultimate nexus, a single point where all the threads of a society's knowledge converged. The precise astronomy of the priests, the brute force engineering of the builders, the theological narratives of the scribes, and the political strategy of the ruler, all were woven together into this one staggering project. The celestial alignments we have traced are the clearest signature of this synthesis. They were the ultimate declaration, a culture's way of stating its deepest understanding of cosmic law and its determined place within that grand system. To align a mountain with the solstice sun was to prove that you had decoded a fundamental rhythm of existence and could now replicate it on Earth. It was an act of profound confidence, a statement that said, "We have observed the universe, we have grasped its order, and now we will participate in it directly." This unifying impulse transcends the beautiful differences between the pyramids of Giza, Teotihuacan, and Meroe. It reveals a shared chapter in the human story, a moment when disparate cultures, gazing at the same sky, arrived at a similar monumental answer to the same fundamental questions. How do we find meaning in the vast cosmos? How do we secure our legacy against the relentless flow of time? The pyramid was their collective reply. It was a bid for immortality, not just for a single king, but for the entire worldview of a people. By embedding their understanding of celestial mechanics into their largest, most durable creation, they sought to make that understanding eternal. The stones would outlast parchment, the alignments would outlive dynasties. The pyramid was their permanent mark, an eternal signature on the landscape that whispers across millennia. We were here, we understood the rhythm of the sky, and we built in harmony with it. That whisper is why the form still captivates us. It connects us to that ancient, shared aspiration to find our place in the cosmos and to leave behind something that speaks of our reach, our understanding, and our enduring desire to touch the stars. From the sands of Egypt to the jungles of Guatemala, a single, silent testimony echoes across the continents. These aligned pyramids are not random piles of stone, but the carefully composed manuscripts of a lost science. Our ancestors were not merely builders, they were brilliant observers, engineers, and philosophers of the cosmos, conducting a grand, generational experiment to anchor their world to the heavens. We have walked the path from the spiritual principle of the axis Mundi to the precise tracking of solar cycles, from the simple gnomon in the sand to the complex mythologies written in the stars. We have navigated the modern landscape, separating rigorous research from sensational myth, and witnessed how new technologies are revealing hidden chapters in this ancient story. This journey reframes these iconic structures entirely. They are not relics of a superstitious or primitive past. They are monuments to a sophisticated, empirical engagement with the universe, a testament to the human mind's relentless drive to measure, to understand, and to find its place within the grand design. Each perfectly placed stone was a question answered, a celestial rhythm captured, a declaration of belonging in a vast and orderly cosmos. These silent giants now turn that question back to us. In our world of artificial light and digital noise, they challenge us to look up again, to reclaim that sense of wonder, to remember the deep, enduring human impulse to find meaning and pattern in the starry expanse above. That impulse to connect, to harmonize, to leave a mark that speaks to the stars, is perhaps their greatest legacy. It is a thread that connects their world to ours. If this exploration has shifted your perspective on these ancient wonders, we would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. For more journeys into the profound mysteries of our shared past, subscribe and join us as we continue to decode the legacy written in stone and light.